Yeah, you can be muted and repeat after me. कार्पण्यदोषोपहातस्वभावपृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्नमयं भूत्वा भविता वनभूय अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां दयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणकर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्तं मम राजर्षयो विदुः सकाले नेह माता योगो नष्टपरन्तपा परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वता त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिना ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः Mm, this one. Mm, So we'll have a brief revision of the third chapter. So the third chapter starts with the Arjuna's confusion whether he should perform karma yoga versus jnana yoga, because there are some equivocal instructions in the second chapter. Mm. So it ends with the Sthita Prajna section where there is a lot of emphasis on focusing, meditating on the transcendental knowledge, meditating on Brahman. So that's why Arjuna asked this question. Of course, Arjuna is a bit attached that he does not want to fight. So that is also seen in that question. Then Krishna gives three reasons why Arjuna should fight, should perform karma yoga, which for him, which it means for him doing fighting as a Kshatriya. The reason one is that this inaction, like just stopping karma yoga, will not make him, will not purify him of the, uh, will not purify him of his karma. And just taking sannyas doesn't mean that he will attain liberation. So, and he cannot just stay without doing anything because the soul is ever active. If he does not act as per his prescribed duties, he will be forced by the modes to act. So that's why he should better perform karma yoga. Otherwise, he will be forced by the modes to act, and that will lead him to sin and entanglement. The reason two is if he is not purified in the mind and he takes a pronounced order, so then he may, because he is not purified, so there are desires for sense gratification. So he may become a hypocrite. Mityachara Suchite. So that verse talks about it. So the third is uh, if he cannot even maintain himself if he does not perform his duties. So better is he perform karma yoga by regulating the senses and their engagements. So these are the three reasons which Krishna offers. Then Krishna moves on to the concept of yajna. So yajna means to cooperate with the demigods and obtain one's own needs, which is sakama karma or karma karma, whatever you call it. So not performing yajna means he's like a thief because he is accepting the things without acknowledging to whom it belongs. So it is like a thief. It's a so yajna sishta shina santo. So that Munjajetu agam papam. So if food is not offered in yajna, it is sin. So here this is yajna means where one recognizes the authority of Vishnu and he takes. So it doesn't exactly imply that one should be devoted. So this is little different from the ninth chapter verse. Then the cycle Krishna explains how yajna is based on Shastra. Yajna leads to rains, rains gives to Anna. So Annat Bhavanti Bhutani, Parjanyat Anna Sambhava. So that cycle. So this yajna cycle, so this is all basically Sakama Karma. Means you perform yajna and whatever you desire, you obtain from the demigods. So then Krishna comes to the concept of Nishkama Karma. So in order to start that concept, first Krishna answers, means Arjuna had this query because he has in his mind that he wants to renounce Karma Yoga. So that he tells that only an internally purified and satisfied soul only can renounce Karma Yoga. So he explains that, and therefore he says, so means that is the success of Karma Yoga. So therefore he says, perform Karma Yoga without attachment to results in a dutiful way. So then that will lead to purification and liberation. So then Krishna goes on to say, even if one is completely purified, then also he should perform Karma Yoga. He should perform his duty to set an example. And Krishna says, I myself do it. And he says, if he does not do it, then actually the Varna Sankara will happen. So then Krishna concludes that one should perform Nishkam Karma Yoga without doership mentality and without attachment to results and without laziness, Vigata Jora. So that so then so that way Krishna concludes, and Prabhupada also says this is a conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. So that verse. Mayi sarvani karmani adhyasyatma, that verse is there. So then Krishna contrasts Nishkama Karma and Sakama Karma. And he tells any perfected Nishkama Karma Yogi, he should set example by continuing to do prescribed duties with detachment. And he should not prematurely make Sakama Karmis renounce the work. Though that is success, but he should not do that. And practicing Nishkam Karma. So there are two things, like one is one has it's one is fully purified and he is established in the Nishkam Karma Yoga. Another is trying to do Nishkam Karma Yoga, but he has some challenges. So he should have faith and respect for performing Nishkam Karma. He should have faith in this instruction of Krishna that he that is the real success performing Nishkam Karma. And he should have faith and respect for performing Nishkama Karma, and he should have knowledge of Samkhya. And he should not have any aversion to instructions on renunciation and detachment, like example of Bhagavatam, no, the forest of material enjoyment, like that. So if he has any aversion, then he will not attain any success. But at least if he has faith and he endeavors, then there will be success. That is auspicious. Then Krishna discusses, like, because he told if somebody is not accept that instruction of Krishna on Karma Yoga, so then Krishna says why they don't accept, because of lust. So Krishna explains in detail that how the senses and senses are always attracted to sense objects. So that's why that happens. Even somebody is very wise, he is knowledgeable also, that happens. So then the discussion of lust starts. So lust is born of passion, which is an eternal enemy, Nitya Vairana, for the spiritualist. Then lust is situated in senses, mind, and intelligence. So solution is first is to regulate the sense engagements, and another is uh, the spiritual engagements using intelligence equipped with the spiritual knowledge. So now the fourth chapter deals with the spiritual knowledge. So the third chapter is little not so systematic. So the flow is little more technical and logical. The second chapter is more easy to relate the flow. First Atma knowledge, then based on that Sakama karma, then Nishkam karma, then Sita pragya. It's a little technical, but yeah, it's an important chapter on Karma Yoga. So we will proceed to the fourth chapter. Okay, any questions on anything in the third chapter? Anything? Okay, yes, Raj bro, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanika. Prabhuji, actually, I have one doubt. Actually, it's not my doubt. Actually, somebody asked me.
Hmm.
Just like in the third chapter, Krishna says the devtas, when we perform the yajnas,
Hmm.
so devtas and demigods give us the rain. So
Hmm.
he said actually, but rain is come from the rain cycle. So if in our culture, so rain is we can say the rain is controlled by the Indra. But as per the logic and as per the science, he said, but if you said, okay, if there is a Surya or a sun god, so we
Hmm.
can believe. But how can we correlate this thing, this shloka to the modern rain cycle? Because
Uh,
Indra is not there in the practical process.
yeah, modern rain cycle. See, what is controlling the rate of evaporation from the cloud from the sea to the clouds and seawater? How it who is controlling that? So that scientists don't have the answer. And who is controlling the movement of the clouds? It's not like where
Okay.
clouds stay, they rain. The evaporates and
Mhm.
it forms clouds, and the clouds they travel in a very different direction, and where they stay, and no, so there are many factors. The model which see the more they know how the things are flowing, but how
Mhm.
the flow is no controlled and regulated dynamically with time, that scientists don't know.
Mhm.
So so that who is doing, so that so there is somebody who is doing that.
Okay.
So
So,
that is one thing
mhm.
we can.
So that means the Indra is a flow controller, the process
Ah,
flow control.
yeah, so that is being controlled by Indra, you can say that.
Okay.
And there is
Yes.
something called as quantum biology and all. So that thing, some things are there. Like there is a course by one devotee scientist,
Mhm.
Akandati Prabhu, on science and the Atma paradigm. In that he speaks about quantum biology and all. So it's little technical, means it's not like they means they it's not whatever everything is in particle nature, means that transition from wave to particle nature happens, and that actually controls things. He explains that also. Okay, I have, okay, anything else, anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, bro.
If the person is not matlab listening, can I
Hmm.
speak, Prabhuji?
Yeah, what
He's
what
not. He's not listening to the or what is mentioned in scriptures.
hmm.
If anyhow, if we try to make him chant regularly, he will develop the
Sorry,
faith.
yeah, yeah, you're not, we are not able to hear you.
I said, if the person is not having faith in the process of demigods controls that, if we
Hmm.
request him to chant the round, somehow
Hmm.
it starts chanting. Gradually, he will develop the process, faith uh, in the process.
We cannot always say like that, because see, everyone comes with a particular type of sukruti. So now if
Yes.
somebody has dushkruti instead of sukruti, so they may not even accept chanting. And if you force them to chant, then what will happen is they may become averse. Initially, they may accept because of some relationship and all. they may become really averse. Should not force people to chant. So
Yes,
what
Prabhuji. Yes.
we can give them some agyan sukruti and all, because everyone may not accept chanting and all. But yeah, if we can connect them through kirtan or something, if that works, fine.
If we suppose he's interested in knowing the reason, and somehow we can ask him to start chanting. He starts chanting, then gradually
We
he will
can
develop
try,
faith.
but see, if somebody is
Ah,
asking question, if somebody is asking a
yeah.
philosophical question, should try to answer it with whatever he accepts. If somebody accepts only logic, then we can try that. Logic and science, we can try that. If he is
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
accepting Vedas, then we can answer through that. So
Yes, yes,
there are
Prabhuji. Yes.
different things.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Because we should not just ask, you cannot understand this answer, you cannot understand philosophy, you just chant or do menial service. At least for someone who is educated, and we cannot say like
Yes,
that.
yes. Yes, yes.
Maybe some village person or somebody, if they may accept things like this. And we can give the answer, and then along with it, you can tell, if you chant, that may help you to understand it better and all like that.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
okay, we will proceed to the fourth chapter. Okay, the fourth chapter is divided in 5 sections. So first is the transcendental knowledge about Krishna. So Krishna tells about the nature of the transcendental knowledge, how the transcendental knowledge is given, what is the purpose of transcendental knowledge, those things. Then uh, how then the next section talks about how there are many paths and how it's ultimately everything leads to Krishna. No, yeyata ma prapatyatna, that verse. Then the next section talks about karma yoga, the yajna word, how many, like, even marriage is a yajna, how study of scriptures is a yajna. So like that, different things, how earning wealth is a yajna, donating wealth is a yajna. So those all verses come. What practically is yajna, Krishna explains. Then how doing this yajna leads to transcendental knowledge realization, and the importance of transcendental knowledge in that no tadvidhi printipatena. So those verses come. Okay. Okay, so who will read today?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, let Avatari Chetan Prabhu. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Prabhu, you can recite after me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam
इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवानहमव्ययम्
vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakav abravit.
विवस्वान्मनवे प्राह मनुरिक्ष्वाकवे अब्रवीत्.
The translation, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan. And Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So Krishna is using some qualifiers. This process of yoga. So the process of yoga is referring to karma. In this context, is referring to the karma yoga, which implies nishkama karma yoga. This process is avyayam. Avyayam means it is eternal, or the benefits of this karma yoga is eternal. Because in the second chapter, that neha bhikramana shosti, so that verse is there. So that verse, that principle applies to all processes of yoga, because they are performed at the platform of Atma. So the benefits are eternal. It applies to Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. It's not just only Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. But yeah, Karma Yoga works, but it is little difficult to perform in Kali Yuga. That is there. Yes, Prabhuji, you can read the highlighted version.
Sure, Prabhu. Herein, we find the history of the Bhagavad Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. The kings of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to lust. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life. In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system.
Thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, in this first paragraph, Prabhupada talks about the important role of leaders, because they control the what is educated, what is taught as education also they control, and they also are important in facilitating the education. So so that's why it is and education is the basis. So through that only all what is the purpose of life, many things are uh, imparted through the general education. So that's why if the leaders are educated about the importance of spiritual education, so then the society, will function properly. So that's why Krishna gave this knowledge to the kings, the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan gave it to Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaka. So this Krishna is giving mainly to these kings, not so, because so that they will facilitate this education. They may not personally teach this knowledge, but if the kings they practice it, and so that will benefit them, and that will be a good example for the people, and they will also facilitate it with the help of brahmanas. So they may not, so that's why the kings may not be a part of the official sampradaya or parampara, but they will support it. So if you see our parampara also, they are basically brahmanas, teachers. They form the generally the sampradaya tradition. The kings generally they may facilitate. On a personal basis, they may informally they may teach. Okay, yes, bro. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mm,
Actually, I have one small doubt. As
mm,
you said, in the old time, the kings are take advice from the brahmanas.
mm,
So, and we can see that every brahmana is not a devotee.
mm.
So, how we can say so? The king is good, is in the good path, because it may be chance the his guru may be a Mayavadi or his advice may be Mayavadi. So, how can we deal with that?
See, if uh, if you see even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not tell that every Brahmana should be a devotee. So the quality which he says is astikyam. Astikyam means he should have some higher goal, spiritual. He should be spiritual, and he should be dharmic. Dharmic means he should follow the Vedas, the Vedic tradition, whatever is given by Krishna. So that is important. That is the thing. Now, Mayavadi means, see, now again, what Mayavad, the whole philosophy of Shankaracharya, yes, there is an element of Mayavad, but there is a lot about, being, means the he brought back the Vedas to import, again, he established the importance of Vedas. He highlighted the importance of, Nishkam Karma Yoga, all these things. So Mayavadi means if somebody is Mayavadi, yeah, and it is also that means in the Vedic culture, one's own spirituality. Like one may be following Mayavadi, or one may have this no Advaitavad affiliation and all, but externally they follow the Vedic culture. Means they ensure that the people are educated in the Vedas. They are following some spirituality of their choice, but they are dharmic, means they are following the rules like Manu Samhita and no, like these things. So that is the responsibility of the king and even the Brahmanas. Means there is even in the earlier traditions, even a Vaishnava may go to a Advaitavad guru to learn something, Sanskrit or no some other scripture or some grammar or something. And in that culture, it in the Brahmanas also are very clear that they should not impose their spirituality on the students. So that is not a very serious problem.
Yes, Puji. That means the administration is governed by the dharma, not it's directly connected with the devotion.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Dharma
So
and
it's a
Bhakti
personal
are
choice.
separated. Dharma and Bhakti are separated. Bhakti is a
Okay.
personal affair.
Okay.
So religion and devotion, they both are separated. And devotion is a personal affair of the individual.
Okay, Puji.
The baseline is one should perform sakama karma or nishkama karma. So that is.
Uh, So, and the one more thing in the Vedic age,
Mm.
so the process is something like that. If person is want to read about the Shiva and a person who want to go with the Vaishnava, so the teachers teach them according to the students.
Yeah,
Is it
there
that?
are separate teachers. Like if
Okay.
somebody, yeah, yeah. So if you see Mahabharata also, the Pandavas,
Mhm,
they have different gurus. Like from Dronacharya, they learned about archery and all, and the ethics related to archery.
mhm,
And they went to, what is his name? Not Durvasa.
Dhaumya Rishi, bro?
Dhaumya. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so they went to Dhaumya because they selected also Dhaumya because he is he's a Vaishnava, and Dhaumya is the spiritual guru of Pandavas.
mhm.
Dronacharya is like a military guru, and they also took guidance. Sometimes they consult Bhishma Dev, Vidura, like that, different things. Okay,
Yes, Puji.
yeah. So here Prabhupada is telling these three things: education, culture, and devotion. So culture is also important. Culture shows about how the education is being applied. Yeah. Even the voice, the acronym is also derived from based on this. Vedic Oasis for inspiration, culture, and education. Okay, then Prabhupada goes on to explain how sun, because sun is an important planet, and the sun god is a has an important role in the universe. He explains it, giving some verses and all. Yes, Prabhuji, you can read this paragraph.
Yes, Prabhu. In the beginning of the millennium, known as Treta Yuga, the science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of the earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramchandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaj Ikshvaku.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so there is also a Mahabharata reference to the corresponding Mahabharata reference that this knowledge is transmitted in this way. Yeah. Yes, bro, you can read this. It was, bro, you can continue
Yes,
this
yes.
highlighted
It
portion.
was, yes, Prabhu. It was spoken to the sun god Vivaswan because he is also a Kshatriya and is the father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god or the Surya Vamsha Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is apaurushaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession And it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku.
Yeah, so we have to see the source uh, from where the Bhagavad Gita is coming. Otherwise, there are many commentaries on Bhagavad Gita available, and because this is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, uh, the Bhagavad Gita has to be understood with respect to the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So whoever is giving that, that we should take. That is a bona fide and teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, this we have discussed in while discussing the introduction and preface. So one should accept Krishna as the Lord, as the Lord. He should accept the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, and he should also understand what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. It is there in the 18th chapter, no, Manmana Bhava Mat Bhakto or Sarvadharman Parityaja. So that is the purpose of Krishna, or the conclusion of Krishna in presenting Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita has to be uh, commented upon, taking keeping into consideration the purpose of the Gita. So then only that is a bona fide explanation of the Gita. Otherwise, someone may take someone may tell no mode of goodness is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, like that different. But we can easily understand that is not the purpose. Or somebody may say Jnana Yoga is purpose, Dhyana Yoga is purpose. No, they are just there in the sequence, but the purpose is different. Okay, so next verse says how, why again Krishna is speaking it again to Arjuna. Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishyo vidu
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo viduhu.
sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa.
Sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Yes, Prajit, continue.
It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, the Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demoniac persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord Himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore He declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also, there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demoniac because demons do not believe in God but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara or disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity, but if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time.
Yeah, means if someone just means Bhagavad Gita has this treasure, but if the treasure, the purpose of the treasure is, one forgets and one just wants to play with it philosophically, it's a waste of time in that sense. So, and why the disciplic succession is broken? It is power of time. Means it happens like the dharma and adharma, they are cyclic. If you will study in the 14th chapter, the goodness, passion, and ignorance, they are always in a flux. Sometimes the goodness, becomes superior to both passion and ignorance, defeats both passion and ignorance. Sometimes passion defeats both goodness and ignorance, and sometimes ignorance defeats goodness and passion. So, so that is an eternal principle in the creation, in the world. And if you see, even in Satyuga also there were demons like Hiranyakashipu and all. So it's a general principle that these things get lost and they need to be again revived. They may be revived by the Lord may come, or sometimes through the saints it may get revived. So we need not be so much bothered or bogged down why in Kali Yuga there is so dharma and all. It's a principle, means it happens. Okay. So now Krishna tells about the qualification to hear, who can hear the transcendental knowledge and all. स एवं मया तेद्य
स
योग
इवाय
पुरातना
स इवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः
भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं हि एतदुत्तमम्.
भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं हि एतदुत्तमम्.
The translation, that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Let's proceed, purport.
There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So again, Prabhupada is stressing on the importance of learning it from in the bona fide disciplic succession. Yeah. So like if somebody wants to become a doctor, one will go to a authentic, medical college and learn. And of course, the medicine about becoming a doctor is just a part of life to earn the livelihood. But this spiritual knowledge, it's a very important. It's more important than that. But people just adopt anything, read anything and everything to try to do this. It is more important, so one has to be more careful to check the genuinity of the source and the authenticity of the source before accepting the knowledge. That's why, of course, we are fortunate that Prabhupada always stresses on this. Prabhupada does not just claim that we are bona fide, but he tells who is bona fide, what are the qualifications, that way, and he reminds always. So that is good. Yeah. So Shastric information everyone has access, but not everyone has the inclination to accept it, and then unless one accepts it completely, one will not understand it properly. And unless one understands it properly, one will not apply it properly. So that if one is not applying it properly, they will not get that result, the actual result of purification of the heart and ultimately realization of God. So this accept, if somebody does not accept, so then he will not be purified. Say a demoniac or ungodly person, he may not accept it fully, or so what, he will not understand it properly, which means he will misunderstand and misinterpret. So that is the problem. So therefore we should understand first we don't have that purity to accept, because we also have some dushkriti in us. So therefore we should go to somebody who is free from this dushkriti towards Krishna, and we should accept from him. So that because he is pure, he will understand the Shastra also very purely, and he will explain it also properly. And by learning from him and by practicing, by following the instructions, we will also become pure, and we can understand it properly, and then we can also try to share our understanding in whatever way we can. Yeah. So Krishna also says in the 18th chapter, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So this knowledge should not be explained. Yeah. So then how, but no, we are told like no, we are distributing Bhagavad Gita to anyone and everyone and telling everyone. So how is it? Is it proper or not proper? Anyone wants to answer? Okay, yes, Yashash, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, in the same chapter, Krishna also said, so you have to distribute this knowledge to my devotees. But in general, we don't know who is the devotee or not, because if person is not interested in the Bhagavad Gita, they
Mm,
directly said, "No, I am not interested." But we have to find that devotee. So among the all the world, where who is the one who is the Manushyanam Sahasreshu?
mm,
So actually, we are not distributing just only Bhagavad Gita. We are finding that devotee. We contact with him, and
mm,
then we try to understand is it favorable or not. So if it is he is favorable, then he all join us immediately.
mm, okay, fine. Yes, Shrikant, bro. Yes.
So, our president
Your voice is
told me
not
this.
very clear. Mm,
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
yeah, now it's better.
So, yeah, our Chaitanya Prabhu had answered this once. Like, what I remember from his
Mm,
teaching is that when we are distributing Bhagavad Gita to others, right,
mm,
or we are giving this information to them,
mm,
uh, with at least positively hoping that they're going to accept, and we don't directly give the confidential knowledge.
yeah,
Uh, what we give is initially that, okay, I'm not body, I'm the soul,
yeah, yeah,
and the device sessions, and as in the way he accepts or understands and all, then we give more
yeah.
confidential knowledge.
Correct, correct. Yeah, correct. Good. Thank you. Yes, even if while distributing book also means we are giving the commentary, Prabhupada's commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada means he tells in the preface and introduction, he clarifies how Bhagavad Gita should be understood, from whom and all. So that is safe. It's not like the Gita Press, no, just shloka translation, so that anyone cannot take any meaning or not. Prabhupada is very clear. He clearly points out which is the wrong understanding and which is the right understanding, all that. So that way it is safe. And yeah, in our normal preaching, as per the person's inclination, one accordingly he gives that education accordingly. Yeah. Even confidential things in Bhagavad Gita also are all spoken at 10th chapter, 9th chapter and all. So till that the person, uh, if he reads clear, means Prabhupada's commentary and all he reads, then he decides. If he is not interested, then he may keep the Bhagavad Gita aside, which may be which may be case in many, which may be the thing in in many cases. So like that. Okay. Okay. Then Arjuna asks a very pertinent question based on what Krishna told. So Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvata
Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvatah
Kadam Etad Vijaniyam Tvam Adau Proktavaniti.
कथम एतद्विजानीयाम् त्वमादौ प्रोक्तवान् इति.
The translation: the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to me? Yeah. So Prabhupada will clarify in the purport why Arjuna is asking this question and all. Yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord, so how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers.
Yeah, you can continue.
It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds.
Yeah, just a minute.
Good.
So I'll
Yes,
just
Prabhu.
explain. Yeah, it is like uh, we check the authenticity of any product no we purchase. So how it is bona fide and all. So in the same lines, like Krishna means Arjuna is asking what Krishna told, like on what basis Krishna is telling this. Because Krishna told that he instructed it to sun god. So, but if you externally see, Krishna is also at the same age as Arjuna. So then Arjuna is asking it like, on what basis are you saying, and how am I to make sense of this fact that you instructed it so long ago to sun god. So then Krishna will answer it. But as Prabhupada is saying that Arjuna knows it, but Arjuna is asking this question for the sake of the readers in the future. Yes, Prabhu, you can
To
continue
the
to the demons.
Yes, Prabhu. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him.
The atheists, you can continue.
Okay, Prabhu. The atheists who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna, like Arjuna, is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of the persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being subject to the modes of material nature.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this concept we will study in the seventh chapter. So there are people with dushkruti and there are people with sukruti. So those people who have dushkruti, even if they are explained based on shastric references very logically and all, still they may not accept because they have that dushkruti. So a devotee one has to intelligently see how they can be how to present Krishna consciousness in an attractive way, or no, they may not, but if they are like at least they have some good manners and all, we can try to build some relationship and engage them in an indirect way in Krishna consciousness or something like that, and so that they may develop appreciation at least to devotees, if not to the philosophy or something. So like that. Now Krishna answers this question of Arjuna in the next shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna
बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन
tani aham veda sarvani natvam veta parantapa.
तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्थ परन्तप.
Yes, the translation. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. And now Prabhupada will explain what exactly is what Lord is meaning by taking birth. How Lord's birth is different than Arjuna's birth and our birth. Prabhupada explains. Yes, Prabhupada, you can read
In,
the quote.
in the Brahma Samhita 5.33, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, अद्वैतमच्युतमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभमदुर्लभमात्मभक्तौ गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda or Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It is also stated in the Brahma Samhita रामादिमूर्तिषु कलानि अमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोद्भुवनेषु किन्तु कृष्ण स्वयं समभवत् परमपुमान्यो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda or Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Narsimha, and many sub incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas also, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color yet still remains one. All those multiforms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhaktav.
Yeah, just a minute. So
Yes.
till now, Prabhupada gave different references of how Lord incarnates, time to time in this world. So their descriptions are there in the Vedas, and those who study the Vedas in a open-minded way with and they don't have any dushkruti or no any envy towards Krishna, they accept these things. Yes, Prabhu, you can continue.
Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what had happened in his previous past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So there is this, Krishna and Arjuna are known to be together in Satyuga and all as Narnara and Rishi. So that is there. And yeah, because Arjuna is a conditioned living entity, he could not recollect it. But because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he could recollect it. Yeah, Prabhupada will explain further. Yes, Prabhupada, you can continue.
Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible or Achyuta, which means that he never forgets himself, even though he is in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the eternal living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord. But by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature.
Yeah, you can read this also consequently.
Consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his Satchidananda body. He is Advaita, which means that there is no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation with him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity, even when it descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is, in one sense, is giving this explanation upfront, but yeah. So the Lord's body's Atma is not different from the body. He does not have the distinction of a material body and an Atma. So that's why uh, he could retain that whatever occurred so long ago. But because the living entity as Atma changes different bodies when in the material world, so he could not recollect it. Of course, there is another nuance that even though the subtle body may be same, but the forgetfulness and remembrance are controlled as per the karma of the living entity by Krishna as as Paramatma. So that is a nuance which we'll discuss in the 15th chapter. Now Krishna gives further explanation. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san
Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanameshwaropi san
prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya.
prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya.
Yeah. So, so Krishna gave one reason is that that we both incarnate means he is giving a personal reason like I and you we have gone through different life forms means yeah different bodies but yeah different births many births both you and I have passed. So this is but a more deeper explanation Krishna is giving here because the previous what Krishna told, it appears that Krishna is also like a human being. But there Krishna clearly told, I can remember, but you cannot remember. So why only Krishna can remember, though he also passed different births, and why Arjuna cannot remember. So that Krishna is giving this explanation here. So the translation is, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So Prakritim Swam Adhishtaya, it means because it is my own spiritual form. It's not I have the distinction between body and soul. And so I am Aja, unborn. This body is not due to past karma. Yeah. So that is not there. Means yes. So one may say subtle body is also carried from one life to another life, but because the subtle body is not controlled by karma of Krishna, so means there is no distinction, but it is not controlled by karma. And avyaya atma. Atma refers to mind. Here, atma refers to mind and intelligence. They are avyaya, without any transformation. Because someone may say that, yeah, and the mind and intelligence are not manipulated by the modes of material nature. So one is by karma and another by the modes of material nature. So they are not influenced by the modes of material nature. One may be very pure also, but one if one may come in contact with lower modes, one may forget. Like one may be very pure in heart and all, but as soon as one sleeps, and one may forget things what we did yesterday and all. So, but for Krishna, that is not the case. And Bhutanam Ishwaropism. Now Lord distinguishes himself from other perfected souls. Like there may be other perfected souls who may, like Nityasiddhas, they also may possess these three things. They may come in their own spiritual form. They may be also Nitya, they are unborn. And they also are not influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. But they are not the supreme. Means they may have these things, but they may not have these qualities in the superlative degree. That's why Lord is special. He is Ishvara, Bhutanam Ishwaropisam. Because Lord is not just aware, because Lord's knowledge is unlimited. The Nitya Siddhas also may have knowledge, but that is finite. And Sambhavami Atmamaya. Here, the Maya word refers to mercy. So he appears out of causeless mercy. So this last Sambhavami Atmaya connects to the future verses of Lord gives the reasons why he appears in this world. Yes, Proj, you can read the full purport. You can read from beginning. The Lord.
Okay, so the Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many past so-called births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly at the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his Prakriti or his form. Prakriti means nature, as well as Swarupa or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body, and the common living entity changes from one body to another. The conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he may have a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world.
Yeah, continue.
Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. And although his body does not deteriorate like a material body, it still appears that Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth. But astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home, or in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. Still, he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us, although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past, present, and future. Neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes. Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence.
Yeah, just a minute. So Prabhupada explained the different things, like how Krishna's body is unborn and all, and he gave a practical, logic that we don't see Krishna growing old. We may see Krishna growing, uh, growing means growing from child to adult and all, youth, child to youth. But we don't see Krishna becoming old from becoming aged from youth to old age. So that shows that Krishna's body is not same like our body. And from Shastra, Prabhupada supported that how Krishna's body is fully spiritual, and it does not deteriorate and all. So which means if it is fully spiritual and eternal, so the memory is always eternal and it is not influenced by the moods. Yes, Prabhuji, you can read. Factually, his appearance.
Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us, and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun has set, and when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position, but owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we'll calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of an ordinary common living entity, it is evident that he, his eternal blissful his eternal blissful knowledge by his internal potency, and he is never contaminated by material nature.
Yeah.
The Vedas also confirm
Prabhuji,
that.
just a minute, I'll
Yes, Prabhu.
explain. Yeah. So it's not like the sun is set means we don't consider the sun has been destroyed and a new sun has come next day. So similarly, uh, when Krishna incarnates and disappears from the world, it's not like Krishna is dead and and another Krishna is born and all. So it's like Krishna has just unmanifested himself, and again Krishna is manifesting again in the another incarnation. So like that. Yes, but the Vedas also comes.
The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in multi manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayan with four hands and the decorations of the six kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy bestowed upon the living entities so that they can concentrate on the Supreme Lord as he is and not on mental concoctions or imaginations which the impersonalist wrongly thinks the Lord's forms to be. The word Maya or Atma Maya.
Continue, please.
The word Maya or Atma Maya refers to the Lord's causeless mercy according to the Vishwakosha dictionary. The Lord is conscious of all of his previous appearances and disappearances, but a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self, or between his quality and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse.
Yeah. So in this verse, Krishna clarifies how he is different from others, from Arjuna in this context, because he is a Ishwaropasan, he is in Ishwara, and this is one of the first verse where Krishna is calling himself Ishwara, but in a not so very explicit way. But in the 10th chapter, he tells directly that no, I am the Supreme Lord. Means this is one instant where again Krishna is telling about himself. Yeah. So yeah. So that reasons because he is an Ishvara and he is not influenced by Avyayatma. He is not influenced by the material nature. So that way, that's why he could remember. So the things that happened long, long ago. And he says then he is coming because out of causeless mercy, Atma Maya. So there the Maya refers to mercy. So why he is coming means what is that mercy and all that Krishna is explaining in the next verse. So this is the first reason. Krishna is going to explain in three verses. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So dharmasya glani refers to the decline of religion, and abhyuthanam adharmasya. There is a predominant rise of irreligion. Abhyuthanam adharmasya. So dharma refers to what is like described in the Vedas, the prescribed duties of different types of human beings, etc. Basically, the varnashrama dharma. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Dharmasya, sorry. The word Srujami is significant herein. Srujami cannot be used in the sense of creation because, according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srujami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of Dwapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he is completely free to act in any way at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord Himself to Brahma from within His heart. Therefore, the principles of dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.19. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, yes, bro, you can continue.
The purport of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto Him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto Him, and whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demoniac tendencies still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of nonviolence. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself or some disguised form, or himself in some disguised form.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Prabhupada initially explained the word Shrujami. Shrujami generally means create. So it's not like Krishna creates himself again and again. But because Krishna is Abhyaya Atma is eternal, so it only means he's manifesting himself and again unmanifesting himself. And here, if you see the word in the shloka also, Krishna used the word dharma. He did not use the word bhakti. So, so dharma is the main thing that should be there in the word. And Prabhupada gave an example of Buddha. As Lord Buddha, he gave how Krishna in form of Buddha appeared and what was the adharma that is happening. Uh, and he and how he corrected that adharma. Yeah. So here there is this definition. Where is it? Vedas are accepted. So, principles the principles are clear. The Vedas are also accepted. Hmm. Ah, so here it is there. So the Lord's mission is to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. So this is the mission of the Lord. So one of the aspects of religion is the people also should become God conscious, means they should know and accept the authority of God. But it may not, it is not compulsory or essential that they should become devoted to God. So, so the main baseline important thing is dharma. And so one should have that connection to God. So it maybe one may just accept God and some maybe become devoted to God. So that's different. And yeah, so for different people, Krishna may give different forms of dharma. So many of you must have attended the device course, so that a pocket dictionary and a big Cambridge dictionary. So different people have different qualifications. So accordingly, that whatever religious principles they can follow, so that is given to them. So like the Christianity is given originally to people who are fishermen and all. So they are given some minimum principles. They are not given concepts like no spiritual world, all these things. Some basic dharmic principles and devotional principles are given. But if you see Islam, uh, very primitive dharmic principles are only mainly given. So devotion to God and no, it is not even that much is also not emphasized. So they are told like things like no, you should not have sexual sex with your mother, sister. So those things were told because it's given to quite uncivilized people. But if you see Sanatan Dharma, many refined things are told. So there is detailed process of creation and about spiritual world. There are many finer details. Yes, bro, you can read this highlighted portion in all incarnations.
In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the four orders and the four statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non manifest only under different circumstances.
Yeah, thank you. So you can think about a few incarnations. So first explain what is the adharmic situation and how that particular incarnation has corrected that adharmic situation. So different incarnations of Krishna you can think about. You can take around 3 to 4 minutes, then we'll discuss. Yes, so
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
yes.
Lord took birth as a Vara avatar, no?
Mm-hmm.
To kill Hiranyakashipu
Mm-hmm.
and to free the earth from the.
And yes, yes, fine. Thank you. Okay, next.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Then Simha avatar also.
Yeah. So I'll let others. Yeah, Shrikant,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Uh, there was adharma of animal killing, which was rampant based on the Vedas, I mean, on the scriptures. So Lord Buddha appeared to save that.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhupada has explained it. Yes, thank you. Okay. What else? Okay, yes, Yashas, bro.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I heard in one lecture. So once upon a time, there is one demon called Haigriva. So he's stolen the Vedas. So Lord took the Matsya avatar and he killed that demon and protect the Vedas.
Okay, fine.
Because the loss of the Vedas, the everyone become the dharmic and unpious people at
Okay,
that time.
fine. Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanyasalam. Prabhuji, Mohini avatar,
Okay.
in that Lord protected this mankind from the demons. If demons would have had that nectar, then
Yes,
it would
yes.
have been a very adharmic condition.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay, fine.
Parshuram also, Prabhuji.
Yes. Take. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Can I answer, Prabhuji, one more?
Yeah.
Lord took as a Saptavesh avatar of Gurudev Datta, 24 gurus of the Saptavesh avatar, no?
24 gurus. So which 24 gurus? In Bhagavatam or?
That includes the Bhagavatam, that 11th canto.
Okay. Yeah.
That Uddhav Gita.
Okay. Fine. Take.
So Gurudev Datta, he took the birth as.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
And then okay.
Yeah. So of course there is a categorization of different incarnations, Leela avatars, Yuga avatars, and all. Generally, Yuga avatars, they are specifically meant for establishing dharma or giving the process of dharma for a particular yuga. But in Leela avatars also, this aspect will always be there. They establish the dharma in some way or other. So Krishna is giving more nuanced things of it. Paritranaaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम्
Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Yeah, this is the translation given by our acharyas in a conversation form. But your devotees, the saintly kings, appear to wipe out the rise of adharma and destruction of dharma. So why do you say that you appear in order to do this? Yeah, so this adharma can also be destroyed and dharma can be established even by devotees and others. So Krishna is telling, my devotees are absorbed in relishing my form and qualities. They long to see my form and thus suffer from not seeing my form. In order to deliver them from this suffering, by showing my attractive form directly, I appear. Paritranaya sadhuna. Yeah. So it's not like devotees don't desire to see Krishna, but their focus is not seeing Krishna. Their focus is serving Krishna, but they will also have that desire. It's not like they have to be always in separation from Krishna or something. I also appear to destroy those performing evil deeds, Dushkrutam, persons like Ravana and Kamsa, who cannot be killed by anyone except me, and who torment my devotees. Vinashaya cha dushkrutam. So that is this explanation. And I also appear to spread dharma. One is establishing dharma, and it has to be also spread. Then only it is properly established. Pure bhakti yoga with meditation on me and deity worship only to me and Vedic dharma as well, which cannot be spread by anyone other than me. Dharma samsthapanardaya. Means Lord's spreading dharma is very unique. If you see example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave instant prema bhakti to everyone. Whereas other devotees and other acharyas, they can give only sadhana bhakti. Though they might have spread worldwide or something, but Lord is unique in that. Yeah, the translation to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Yeah, I'll read the purport. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be religious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. Yeah, sadhu means it's not like one has to be always dressed in saffron or like that. They may be engaged in the modern world also, but if they have the qualities, like the qualities are described in Bhagavatam, so they also be treated as sadhus. And dushkrutam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants are dushkrutam, are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education. There is a person who is 100% Krishna, 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons. Yeah, through the power of time or through some other agencies, Lord can do that. But the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of the. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Yep, the other part of killing demons can be done through other means also. Lord mainly comes to reciprocate with his devotees. That is the main purpose. Therefore, it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. So there is another story to illustrate this, like this Indradum Maharaj shared once. So Akbar also got a similar question: why Lord has to personally descend to do this? So then Birbal told, "Okay, I'll tell you. You will learn it." So then the Akbar and Birbal, and along with Birbal's son, the prince, is a young kid, not is a kid. So they were going on a boat in the river. So then suddenly Birbal uh, pushed the son into the river. It's a pond, may not be a river, so a pond. Then Akbar, he first got angry, but then he immediately jumped into the river to save his son. He did not ask his soldiers and all. So similarly, then Birbal told him that because Lord feels that love for the conditioned souls and for the devotees, so that's why he personally comes, because that is his love to the devotees and all. So, so that explains the thing. Okay. Yeah. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses summarize the principles of incarnation. सृष्टि हेतु एहि मूर्ति प्रपंच अवतारे से ईश्वर मूर्ति अवतार नाम धरे मायातीता परव्योमे सबर अवस्थाना Vishwe Avatari Dhare Avatara Nama. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation, and the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatara. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatara. There are various kinds of avatars such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Shaktiavesh avatars, Manmantra avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. He is called Avatari. Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna Avatara is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. Yeah. Now, Krishna gives a little more refined and more deeper reason. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata.
जन्म कर्म च मे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः
त्यक्ता deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna.
त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. Oh Arjuna. Yeah. So Krishna performs these activities so that the conditioned souls can get attracted. It can means the conditioned souls existing at that time, and because these things are recorded in the Shastra in the future also. And these things are sung by the devotees through that means also. He who knows that the birth and activities in relation to the respective devotees of such a Lord are non-material and eternal in the past, present, and future, he who by my statements such as Eko